Welcome to episode 133 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. We're going to be recapping the main card of UFC 289, Nunes versus Aldana.
Aldana.
Sorry, the reason why I'm blanking is because the people's main event, Dariush
Yeah.
Oliveira,
It's funny you say that without knowing the description.
Charles Oliveira.
Funny you'd say that without knowing the description because that is in the description. The people's main event is the co-main.
True, and like what Beneil was, you heard Beneil in like the little lead up interview was talking about, like, no, like that's kind of disrespectful. Like this is, I mean, and Nunes is like, it's an honor to be on the same card as her and all that, and like all that is true. Like that is true, but also there's like an undeniable like what gets you going. It's not like a conscious decision. Like I don't want to like Dariush Oliveira more than Nunes Aldana. It's just like certain things get a reaction out of you and certain things don't. Like that's not necessarily like on me.
Also, like
You know what I'm
also
saying?
like the matchup though, right? Like whenever you
Yes.
told me like Gaethje Poirier, okay, like you could tell me that's the first fight of the card or the main event, but no matter what, I know it's the best fight I'm going to see that whole night.
Yes, 1,000%. It was like that one card Hamzat and Burns was on. Everybody like that was the
Yeah.
fight people wanted to watch. Like it's not really like I get how that could be perceived as disrespectful to Nunes, but it's like I mean, I think even Nunes, like truth serum in her, would almost agree the way she was playing with her food last night. Like she knew this wasn't about to be like a scrap, and so did all of us. I don't think it's a slight on Nunes as much as honestly, it's a slight on Aldana.
Now, let me ask you an interesting question before we dive into the individual breakdowns here, because Juliana Pena was originally scheduled to fight Nunes. I don't know if you saw her this week in any of her media. Just the most
Talking that
cringe.
shit.
I mean, yeah, but like super cringe, like saying stuff like, I made Amanda Nunes relevant. Like she wouldn't be able to sell cards without me. It's proven she's not a seller or a draw. It's only a draw because we're going to our trilogy. Like sure,
I'll say
that's true.
the second Nunes Pena fight, I'll say that statement's true for. Like I was actually stoked to spend my hard-earned money on an Amanda Nunes pay-per-view because she was fighting Juliana Pena, the rematch.
Right.
I can say that's true. Now for this third one, was I overly stoked for it? And would that have statement been as true for this third one as the second one? Probably not.
I also think for her to say that she made Nunes relevant, that's also pretty crazy. Very few people would know
Relevant,
Juliana Pena's name before she had beaten Nunes, if that makes sense.
relevant's probably the wrong word to use.
Re-energized,
kind of
revitalized.
Garnered interest in. Like I think that was
Yeah.
like the wrong like verbiage, like the wrong diction. But I kind of agree with like I think the energy of like the overall statement behind that verbiage somewhat kind of see where she's coming from, to be honest. Because like I mean it happens to all like undefeated champions. Like it gets boring seeing somebody like not be tested. It happened towards the end of John Jones' run. It happened up until Grasso. Nobody was stoked on the Shevchenko fight. It like until we see Jalton Almeida truly tested, which we are with Curtis Blades, thank God. But we
True.
all like nobody like wants to pay $80 for like a lamb to the slaughter, like cow into the Velociraptor cage, Jurassic Park, like just feeding, like, and that's what we were getting. Like I said, wrong diction, wrong verbiage. Amanda Nunes, of course, she's relevant. She's a double champ. She's a GOAT. Like, of course, relevant. Wrong word to use. But as far as like getting me hyped to spend 75, $80 on it, like I kind of see where Penny's coming from. Just throwing that out there.
I get that as well. The other thing she brought up that I was just going to circle this all back to the major point of Charles Oliveira and Dariush selling is that Pena brought up the interactions with like the countdowns and embeddeds. The Dariush and Oliveira ones had almost 5 times more interactions than the Nunes heavy clips. So people,
Yeah, no,
and I mean, bro, the reception for Oliveira in Canada this whole week, like in the weigh-ins and everything, that dude is beloved in the fight community. And deservedly so. Like he is an awesome story. He's a great fighter and on it like super entertaining, right? Very entertaining when he's in the actual octagon.
Oh yeah, no, like Charles Oliveira, fan favorites might even be like a little patronizing term to use at
I
this
know.
point. Like he's a full blown like superstar. He's not like some like hardcore sleeper. Like no, he's a full out superstar. He's selling out arenas. He's selling pay per views. He's fantastic on the mic. The storyline, the comeback story, the ups and down, the roller coaster of his career. I mean, how long he's been in the UFC, the records he holds. I mean, there's not really any more boxes for him to check. You know what I mean? I mean, he'll never be Conor McGregor, but who is? Like,
I mean, yeah, but I mean, he's venerated in his own regards, right? Like, we'll never forget the name Charles Oliveira.
no, and then like also like I mean, I think he's getting comparable. I think first off, he's a bigger star than Islam Makhachev. Now, if you ask somebody in Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi, they may have a different answer for you. But like in the Western world, is it fair to say like in the Western world, Oliveira is a bigger star than Makhachev? I think that's 1,000% true.
Well, I think like in any non-Muslim country, more like the Makhachev dick riding and like the bots on. Dude, I can't get on Instagram without seeing kebab bots and Islam bots. It's ridiculous, dude.
Because like I mean, Bilal points it out as like a positive, but I can spit it as like a negative too. Bilal's always like, "Oh, the Muslims support the Muslim fighters. There's 2 billion Muslims. They're all fans of mine and Islam's and all these guys." Like, there's a certain element of truth to that, but like also like I'm sorry, like I don't know. It's just like in the world of like being a star and being relevant. Like, would you rather have fans in like Nevada and Oklahoma or like Lebanon? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, like I don't.
How much merch is Tajikistan buying versus how much merch is the United States buying?
Yes, and like the whole pay-per-view models in those countries,
right.
most of those countries are
like Bilal. Yeah, they're 2 billion people, but also those people will group together in groups of 5,000 to watch a fight and pay $100. So like. We're talking about marketability, Bilal. Like, you got to sell it. It's got to be worth money. It's not just eyes, it's money.
Yeah, for sure. Also, let's get to this elephant in the room. Your boy,
they're gone!
The barbershop. I got that combo of, like, the Eric Anders meets the fucking, God damn it, why am I blanking on it? The Brazilian strawweight. I got the fucking,
Wait, Andrade?
Yeah, I got that Jessica Andrade hitter. That Eric Anders, Jessica Andrade hitter. So we'll get that elephant out of the, the big elephant in the room out of the way. But yeah, cut it off. It was time, man. I don't know if we're going to have to get the Beefy Boys logo updated.
I just thought about that too. We fucked the logo.
But, yeah, man, I was, I'm pretty excited about it. It was time. Had him for 13 years, just. They really are kind of a pain in the ass. As you can imagine, like having all that on your head, there's like kind of a pain in the ass, like multiple assets of life. Like even sleeping, like laying down on a pillow with those motherfuckers, like isn't that comfortable?
Yeah, it's got to
driving a long time, skating, working out. I mean, literally, you name something. Fucking taking a shit, wiping your ass. You gotta get like, dude, like you name like any aspect of just like being a human, and it makes it like harder. So, I fucking. I'm excited, new chapter. Birthday's in like a week. So just entering, a little season of change here. And, yeah, excited for it. I'm pretty happy with it. I've never been able to wear hats. My hat drip is about to get so crazy. So
yeah, your hat drip's going to be insane. I actually was going to comment on your post like, damn, bro, you got to throw out all the old hats that fit. But I assume
yeah. No, yeah, I had one size 8 A's fitted that would only fit if I wore it backwards. And was that guy. So the backwards fitted guy, it's a hell of a look. But
yeah, I got like 2 of those. That's my that's where I'm at with them, and it's not a good look.
It's not the best look.
It's not a good
look.
Anyway, let's
dive into these fights.
Yeah, this first one is so much fun. And it might not necessarily be close as far as scorecards, but I thought the fight was competitive as hell.
Bro, the judges' scorecards don't have it close at all. My scorecards have it pretty fucking close. Yeah. All right, yeah, thank God. Because when I saw unanimous 30-27, I thought the right guy won. So it's not a die on the hill situation.
But I also thought I thought a guy won a round and then got fucked on the scores about winning that round.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, round 1, there's an argument for each guy. Now I do think there's a winner, and I think there's a correct winner, and I think that correct winner won. But like, if you want to put on your oversized suit and be Eric Anders' defense attorney here, there's an argument to be made. Eric Anders got a lot of damage off in round 1. Let's get into it, man. Eric Anders plus 120, Marc-Andre the Power Barbarian minus 140, Canadian fighter on the Canadian card. Middleweight bout. Eric Anders getting a little older in age, 36 years old. There's like 4 fights left on his contract. That was one of the main reasons why I faded him. As a show, we all faded him. We all rode with Beneil at the sports book. And we always talk about it. Once a fighter starts hinting at retirement and shit, pretty usually fade that fighter, at the book. Now, we're kind of hypocrites because we didn't fade Nunes and she had been kind of hitting at the same thing.
Well, wait a minute. This is the same thing I said with John Jones whenever we said champions that are trying to, like, acquire a new belt or defend a belt or whatever. Like, there's GOATs, right? Like, out of those 3 people that have reclaimed their belt after the age of 35, Nunes is one of those 3. So she's off all, like, limitations as far as, like,
the exception.
Yeah, she is the absolute exception.
And Anders is the absolute rule. But that being said,
you know what? I gained a lot of respect for Eric Anders in this fight. Like, a shit ton.
This hasn't been a super, like, pro-Anders show over the years.
I'm legitimately a fan of him after this fight. Like, I would like to see him fight again.
Yeah, I mean, he looked so great. So, changed camps, too, I believe, which sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I think it's safe to say this was a resounding success. Absolutely. Results aside. Performance, like, you hear fighters talk about it. You don't usually hear pundits talk about it or podcasters, but, like, the fighters always talk about, like, there's a difference between performing well and getting the win. Like, you can perform very well and get the loss. It's a crazy sport. And that's what we saw here with Anders.
And the style's tough for him, too, right? Because Beneil is going to get stronger as it goes, and Anders is known for withering late in those third rounds.
Anders carries a lot of muscle, has the football fast twitch background, which you can't just, like, swap out. Like, somebody who plays American football their whole life versus somebody like there's long distance track or soccer or even basketball to a lesser extent. Like, your muscle fibers, like, develop differently if you're doing these sports in, like, your adolescence. Like, as a former football player to myself, like, to this day, like, you get me running a mile, I look like a dog shit. But I did in my prime when I was a college athlete working out. I was never had that like slow twitch, long muscle fiber. But even to this day, you get me in a short area of quickness. Even sometimes it rears its head. I'm chasing after my skateboard to prevent it from going in the street. Like, I still have that, like, 3-cone drill quickness, just because, like, that's how my body developed. And, like, Eric Anders, obviously famous football player background, I think that's been a result of some of his gassing over the years. But yeah, Beneil, the exact opposite, kind of a Covington-esque cardio style. Tough matchup, like you said. That's another reason why we like the Beneil, aside from just the Anders.
Well, and especially at the odds here, minus 140 for Beneil and plus 120 for Eric Anders. Like, I mean, minus 140 on a guy that I like. That's a good parlay piece. Yeah,
I exactly. If I was setting this money line, I would have made it bigger.
Right? He's in Canada. We did talk about that, which that will be a theme of this card. You're not really going to get that from this main card because there's only 2 Canadian fighters, but Canada did fucking great.
Yes, they did. The Canadians showed out. I mean, round 1 was an absolute war. Really, the whole fight was, but whenever both of these guys were fresh, more specifically Anders being so super fresh, Anders pushed a pace on Beneil the first 2 rounds, actually. Anders was the one pressing the pace.
You know what's odd is Beneil hurt Anders at the start of the first round with that right kick, right combo, and he landed that probably 4 or 5 times in the fight. Like, it was continuous, and he was hurting him with it every time. But that first one hurt him the most because he had no idea. I thought he was going to maybe push to the finish. Now, knowing Beneil, it's not really him. He's just consistent. Anders recovered pretty well. I thought Anders fought out the rest of that round extremely well. Like it was pretty much a coin flip after that, but Beneil, of course, was far ahead from that.
Yeah, exactly. You remove that knockdown, which obviously that's a big ask here, but like a knockdown matters. But when the knockdown happens in the first 20 seconds of the fight, and then you get 4.5 minutes of, like, uber competitive war, you could argue Anders the one leading the charge, pressing the pace. I think, like I said, Beneil won the round. He should have won the round. Like, he got the knockdown. That's the differentiating factor for sure, as it should be. Knockdowns matter, right? But, like, absolute war of a round, and Anders, as we mentioned, performed great.
And both guys were landing heavy shots, and both guys were able to eat heavy shots and continue to fire back. Even Anders, after he got rocked, that's what amazed me maybe the most, was he was hurt for a solid minute, where his legs, like, were still wobbling off jabs. And once he recovered, he really didn't get hurt again in the fight like that.
Also, shout out real quick, we need to keep it pushing, but, like, shout out Beneil's takedown defense. 4 for 4, 100% was stuffing Anders takedowns. I think also went a long way to him winning the round.
Absolutely.
And kind of preventing the comeback. But yeah, keeping it pushing to round 2. See, this is, I guess, my hot take here. Anders like won round 2, not edged it out, not coin flip, not like I thought Eric Anders won the round. No judge agrees with me. I'm anxious to hear if you agree with me. Maybe it's a hot take. I liked Anders in 2.
So I did score it to Anderson too. I did have it as very close. I said his takedown and his ability to actually get that was the only one he got so far to that point, and I know he had almost no control. But I mean, Barrio didn't do much more. I thought Anders was landing a little stronger on the striking side, and he also had the takedown. So for me, as much as it was a close round, I didn't really think about scoring it to Barrio. And then when I saw the Twitter cards, everyone was saying 2018, and I was like, no one's going to give that second round to him? Really? Paul Fontaine did, but yeah, I was surprised. I really thought that was way more of a 50-50 round, if not a Anders round.
Yeah, maybe it was close, but like, here's my logic. Round 1, we said, like, take away that knockdown, and you got a really close round. All right, take away that knockdown and give Anders a takedown, and how do you score that round? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I thought that was round 2.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, because he fought almost very similar like he did to round 1, had the success with the takedown. The pressure, the activity, and those left hands were huge. They still had a lot of steam on him at that point. He was landing some bomb left hands.
He also ate 2 low blows in that round.
That first one was a fugaze. I want to notice that. I'm really glad.
Second one was real. And I'm really glad they didn't take a point.
Super glad they didn't take the point, because the whole argument for the taking the point would be, oh, that's 2, but it really wasn't 2. I think Herzog stepped in and told the ref that the first one was fugaze, and they actually handled that really well. But I thought for a second there, Beneil and our parlays were going to get hosed with that point.
Me too, dude. Because whenever now, granted, they wouldn't have, as it turns out.
Yeah,
crazy enough. Although on my scorecard, that's not
on our scorecard.
Yeah, so exactly. Very nerve wracking. Now that being said, we both have it 1919. Every judge has a 2018 at this point. Now, DC is getting roasted in between rounds for snacking on popcorn. Thought that was absolutely hilarious commentary. I just had to make a note about that. But yeah, round 3.
Apparently he always does.
Yeah, like, apparently he's always eating during the thing, and they're like, it's pretty hard to eat during a show. Button. Yeah, and he's like, it's pretty easy. You just hit the cough button and go in. I was like, DC, you are fat as fuck, dog.
Imagine like the fucking like Cheeto dust that's all over that cough button.
Oh, I know. I was gonna say his area of the desk is just like a messy pit, and like Anik just has like notes organized, Felder's super organized. Meanwhile, DC is just everywhere. But
it would be hard to sit there for 7 fucking hours with no snacks, though.
Yeah, fucking right.
But yeah, man, so every judge gave that round to Beneil, which I think is a little wild, but we'll keep it pushing.
So I thought the third round was a Beneil round, and I also thought that was the most, like, the round that we saw coming the most, right? Because we knew that if we got to the third round and it was a close fight or even not a close fight, Beneil was going to have a crazy good cardio advantage. And that kind of started to play out in the third round.
There was some kind of crazy prop out there for like Beneil to win the third round, with like that's a hell of a bet to make up. But yeah, man, no, I agree. Beneil, I mean, that's where he thrives, the power bar, the cardio. And Anders, man, I mean, cardio looked great, but just was kind of getting edged out, just fell off that ever so slight, wasn't able to quite push that same pace, which was what was resulting in a lot of Anders' success. And as a result of that drop in pace, we get Beneil's best round, probably the easiest round to score. Round 3 was Beneil 10-9 all day, every day. That right body kick to right hand, he was kind of just spamming.
I think did it 3 or 4 times in that round.
Like a fucking just Mortal Kombat combo.
And Anders didn't have a good answer for it, so fair play.
Which speaks to, I mean, we've commented on Anders like fight IQ and kind of just like meathead fighting style, like, I mean, for a long time now. That was a prime example of it. He had no read on that, like not even close. Which, I mean, did his coaches not either? Like, come on, help the guy out here.
I don't know. His toughness has got to be crazy, man, because he gets beat up in every fight.
He's a dog, for sure. Beneil gets the win. That leg of the parlay cashes. And we'll keep it pushing to the next fight. We got another heater on our hands. We got Dan 50K E-game minus 255, 13th ranked featherweight. Nate Landwehr plus 215, unranked featherweight, kind of his shot to get up in the rankings. I was on Landwehr hard all week. I'll own it. I'll stick my chest out on it. I was a little down on Ige. And there was kind of a matter of principle there. I do like Nate the Train, and he is almost a – not to say he doesn't lose fights, but he's hard to beat.
He's 3-0 as a dog. 3-0 as a dog. He's 1-0 as a favorite. He hasn't lost in the UFC.
And he's almost like Beneil, where he's almost guaranteed to win the third round, like in most of his fights too.
Also,
and Ige,
he trains with Colby Covington at MMA Masters, which for me, them in the same room is like a hilarious thought. They say Landwehr cuts from like 185 to 145, and he used to be wild. He has 3 title defenses at M1 Global, the Russian fight organization, before he came to UFC. So he's like a legitimate fighter.
Guy.
Yeah, a dog.
No, for sure. That Ige, I mean, honestly, part of my fading Ige so hard was kind of just I don't want to be a hypocrite on this show. If you're familiar with this show, if you watched those episodes in the past, like we've turned Ige into a verb. Like if a fighter makes a poor fight IQ decision that results in them losing the fight or a decision, we call that E-game yourself. Almost like Chael has turned Sandhagen into like fumbling a microphone opportunity. That's a verb like Sandhagen in your career. Like we've turned Ige, your like fight IQ, into a way of losing the decision. So I feel like I like Nate the Train. As a show, we honestly kind of hate on Ige. Sorry about it. And I was just like, well, I don't want to be that guy. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I just bet a little Landwehr plus 215 straight. Doesn't cash, but you know, I'm still. Hey, I gotta put my money where my mouth is, or else I'm fugazi.
I didn't hate the bet at all, especially at the value. And I mean, if you think about the first round, you know, the first 4 minutes and 45 seconds are very back and forth because as much as Ige does have the volume, Landwehr definitely has the power. To that point, and then then that missile of a hook lands on Landwehr at the very end of the round.
Left hook, man. Much like we said, Beneil, that right kick, right hand was there all night. That left hook for Ige, the double left hook, the left hook to the body, then upstairs. All fucking night. I don't know how many of those Landwehr ate clean on the chin, which proved to Landwehr's toughness, which everybody knew about Landwehr's toughness. But, like, those are I mean, his name's Dan 50K Ige. He puts people out with that left hand and his right hand. And those were fight-ending shots that Landwehr ate probably, 8 to 10 of throughout the course of the 15 minutes.
So that's what I was going to say is that if you took featherweights on a power list, Ige's in the top 5.
Up there with Emmett.
Yeah, Emmett's number 1, I think, but Ige is in the top 5. Like, he falls somewhere in that list behind.
Emmett has that kind of convert speed to power kind of power.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Ige has that hand as big as your face type power.
And it comes so fast. He's not like a big, muscled up, strong looking dude.
Oh no, it's like
he converts the speed to power. It's like that skinny DB that can crack. Like,
well, it's the same thing as like he knows how to. Like, I mean, you're talking about he's throwing the double hook. Well, he's literally throwing the one and then coming right back with it, and it's so fast that Landwehr can't defend both. And he's just, I think that's another part of like, it's maybe not as powerful, but when you can't expect it to be that fast, the surprise of it hitting you is almost like, you know what I'm saying? The shock of it hurts.
And your ability to set up that shot pretty much at will. You know what I mean?
Because it's so fast. Like, and if you feint a low shot, immediately you have the speed to come up top. A lot of boxers can do that. Not a lot of MMA fighters.
Yeah, good point. And man, like you said, I mean, the first like 4.5 minutes of the round was literally a coin flip. I remember thinking to myself, like, God damn, I got to pick a winner here. Like I don't know what do you want me to do here?
I'm glad you said that because I thought I might have been a little crazy for thinking that like that round was that close. Because I saw the strike numbers, right? The strike numbers will lie to you about this fight because if you look at the damage on both guys' faces, it was very clear that when Landwehr was landing, he was landing hard shots.
Sure, man. But the left hook knockdown at the end of the round definitely gave the round to Ige. I mean, that shot finishes like 90% of UFC featherweight. So Landwehr. I mean, hell, this may be a chin of the year candidate. And I don't think it'd be his first time on the list.
No, and I definitely have that in my notes that Landwehr's chin is just on. He just puts me on notice of his chin consistently. Like he's kind of a boogeyman with it too. Like he's aware of it, and he even said in his fighter meeting that he's like, "Yeah, I got that guy in the basement that I can let out. It's just a matter of do I need to bring him out?" And I'm like, that's like some scary psychological type shit to have.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, man. Then we'll keep it pushing to round 2. Now, round 2, similar to round 1. I mean, like Granted, I thought Ige was like winning that round. Like I thought it was a better overall round from Ige, like pillar to post. But like once again, end of the round, knocked down with left hook. We just, like where have we seen this before?
Yeah,
Rinse, repeat.
Yeah, it's funny. My notes say Ige's continuing to find a home for these left hands. Landwehr seems like he might be fully recovered. Oh, Ige lands a bomb and drops him, and then honestly, Landwehr upkicked Ige and hurt him.
Yeah,
it wasn't as bad in the replay, but like definitely allowed him to survive the onslaught to end the round. And then I just have another left hook by Ige is what wrecked Landwehr, of course. So 2018 after 2 for me. Not really in question.
Yeah, for sure.
Landwehr's corner very aware. I think everyone in this fight was aware. I mean, you get dropped so hard twice to end rounds. It was just like cementing the rounds for Ige.
And Landwehr was having success, but he didn't have any moments in them first 2 rounds. Like he never had any. For sure. And then round 3. Now round 3, I mean, most people seem to be in consensus to giving round 3 to Landwehr. One judge didn't. I think that judge is a little crazy. Like I don't have the word close in my notes. I thought Landwehr won 3. Like I thought he just did. I thought he did more. Those clinch elbows were gnarly. He had Ige on the back foot. That jab was landing, which was and then he didn't get knocked the fuck to Jupiter this round. So I mean
I have it for
I
Landwehr,
give round 3 to Landwehr.
I have it for Landwehr as well, although I do have it close.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It wasn't like some one-sided ass whooping, but I just thought like I didn't struggle to give it to him. I didn't have to who do I give this round to? Like, yeah, it was a competitive round, but as soon as the bell ended, I started writing 10-9 Landwehr. Like, I just felt pretty confident in that. And yeah, so 2 judges go 29-28. Ige, 1 judge goes 30-27. Ige, either way, the right man won, and that says the Landwehr better. Only thing that sucks for Landwehr, I didn't realize he was 35, which, I mean, you mentioned all the success in other organizations and stuff, and, I mean, you don't get that good overnight. Obviously, it takes a lifetime to get that good, so it makes sense that he's 35. He fights like a 35-year-old, but in a good way. Just sucks that, this was his chance to kind of make a run, and, kind of running out of time, right? I mean, he literally just turned 35 this week, but, I mean, what, in 2 years? It'll probably take him 2 years. Say, you're writing a script. Best case scenario, he strings 4 wins together and gets back to a title contention, whatever. I'm not saying that's what I think is going to happen. I'm saying if you're trying to draw it up for Landwehr, then what he's fighting for a belt at 38, best case scenario, it's tough. It's tough.
Super tough. And then I also think about the road ahead of him has guys like Volkanovski, Rodriguez, Ortega, Holloway. There's too many tests for him to have to pass before he's going to age out.
Oh, yeah. And then, I mean, that's not to mention all the young lions, which there's so many young lions.
I mean, that was, I named the top 4 guys. You could name the next 8 behind them above Ige, and those are all harder fights than Ige.
Bro, I'll even take it a step further. His next fight's going to be against an unranked guy.
Yeah. That's
not a guaranteed win. There's some unranked featherweights that are fucking monsters.
Yeah.
Dude.
Featherweight's deep, bantamweight's deep, and lightweight's deep. If you're in those 3 weight classes, you're in hell.
No, for sure. No easy fights. But and then Ige starts, working his way back up. You do what, an Ige Caceres? Since Caceres always fights back and Ige just kind of right the ship, or what do you think, bro?
Ige and Bryce Mitchell. I think Bryce Mitchell needs to fight backwards because he keeps getting fucking hurt and can't make a goddamn fight. Or when he does, he gets starched.
Yeah, that's fair.
He got starched in his last fight. Bryce Mitchell did.
He did. Bryce, and I think that's what Ige said on the mic, not in the cage, but in the post, after the in the post fight. I think he mentioned Mitchell's name, so I'm fine with that. That makes sense. And Mitchell is definitely not in the position to pick and choose or really earn himself any favors with the company. So
that's how I feel, and I think stylistically that's a really fun matchup too, right? Because Ige just wants to strike, and Bryce Mitchell just wants to grapple. It's very clear what both are going to try to do. And Ige, while he is fast, isn't the strongest guy, and Bryce Mitchell, while he's strong, is not the fastest guy.
Yeah, and I think the Mitchell matchup will test that Ige fight IQ that we love to kind of hard, because if you slip up one little mental lapse, bad decision, put your arm on the mat, just make some little mistake, Mitchell will finish it.
Right.
So if it even gets to the mat, you know what I mean. I think on the feet he might rip Mitchell's jaw from his actual face, but Yeah, but let's keep it pushing here because, man, I think going up to this one, we questioned it. I think most UFC fans that were, debating whether or not to part with their $80 to buy this pay-per-view were like, third fight on, like, featured match is Malott Fugitt. That seems like a stretch. I agree with that sentiment. I know I've been a fan of Mike Malott. Like, I believe in him. I think he's a real guy.
That's what I was going to say.
The Fugitt B-side, like, left a little to be desired. I thought from, like, a card placement perspective.
Okay, I'm super glad you introduced it that way because I was going to ask you to give the fans, like, a quick run of who Mike Malott is. And then I was going to immediately follow up with a quick run of who Adam Fugitt is. And like, those two things next to each other don't actually make any sense at all. The fight styles, the records, like the actual look, very similar. Like, these guys are similar in all those things. However, on the mic, Fugitt sucks. Literally can't. That dude's the worst I've ever seen on the mic, like, leading up to the fight. Meanwhile, Malott is very good on the mic. And then
on the mic.
And then the other thing is, this is obviously a spot for Malott, right? Like, he's the last Canadian to fight in Canada in the featured bout. At only minus 200, it felt like a steal.
It felt like a steal, for sure. Like, I've been a Malott believer. He has that eye test factor.
He has the cardio, he has the body, he has the striking defense, he has the power. I mean, yeah, like you're saying, there's certain guys.
There's these prospects that, like the first, and these are smaller guys, but like that first time we saw Makayev fight, the first time we saw, like, I forget which Basharat brother it was that we saw first, but like, there's these certain guys that like, oh, this guy's gonna have a career. Like, this guy, like, he passes that smell test, that eye test. Like, this guy's gonna be a guy. There's certain guys, and like, I felt that way from Malott from jump. Like, I mean, he just passes that eye test. He passes that smell test. Like, we got something here with this guy. I don't think there was a lot of people out there feeling that way about Fugitt, even though on paper his topology is like pretty decently impressive. But it's like, I don't know, just that smell test. I thought Malott minus 200 here in the welterweight division was a pretty good value. We both put him on the parlay. You wanted to put under on the parlay too, which I think it was set at under 2.5. And my weak ass sports book doesn't allow those kind of parlays. Super annoying. I get so jealous of the people because I live here in Nevada. Obviously, it's a great state to be a sports gambler in.
You think you'd have the best experience gambling and being in the state that is literally built on it.
Exactly, and I'm going down to Vegas next week. I'm going to hit up some of those sports books. Maybe they'll have better props, but yeah, these Reno sports books, man, they'll give you like buy TKO each fighter, buy sub each fighter, buy decision each fighter, and then an over-under. But you can't parlay. You can parlay over-unders together, but you can't parlay over-unders and money lines together at these sports books. And you can't parlay method of victory with anything, I don't think. Maybe other method of victory, but you can't get really creative with your parlay construction. And I mean, I'm not making excuses, but it does limit us. Like, it really does.
Yeah,
like,
well, especially if we feel very strongly about like a fight like this, where we're like, well, Malott and Fugitt are just going to go strike it out with each other, and Mallott's better, and he's at home, and this is kind of built for him to win. Like, if we could parlay a finish and a win for Malott, like, boom, it already lifts us up higher. Now, some casinos are obviously wise to that.
Yeah, there's a reason why they don't let us do it, but also, like, I don't know, dude. I don't love it. I don't love it because you see all the online sports books, they'll let you do same game parlay. Like,
DraftKings and FanDuel literally advertise the same game parlay. Like, DraftKings will sell you boosted odds on the same game, and they're the official betting sponsor of the UFC.
And they'll have props on like early prelims fights. That's another thing. These Reno sports books, they'll only have props on like maybe like the featured prelim and then the main card. You can't even bet props. You over-unders, but you can't bet like method of victory on like prelim fights, which I feel like I've lost out on money there.
Yeah, that's why though, is because they're not willing to lose out on money knowing that you can take it from them and they don't want to put that time in.
No, 1,000%. It's just like, I mean, as they say, those casinos don't build themselves, right? Those big fancy casinos. I mean, they know what they're doing. It's a business. Like, they're turning a profit. It's just like, God damn it, as a gambler, you try to like kind of get in where you fit in.
Well, the thing is, too, is like we're trying to come in as sharps, right? Well, that means we have to go where there's more dummies. So it's essentially like the bigger the book, the better the props and odds you can get, because the more people there are that are doing just betting dumb public shit. Like people that have bet on Conor in his last 2 fights. Like, what are we talking about? What
Yeah,
are we
for
talking
sure.
about?
But yeah, man, diving into this one, and yeah, this is a huge spot on a pay-per-view to build up Malott as a star, and so that can go either way. You're on a pay-per-view, first pay-per-view, hometown, home country, whatever. I mean, on a young fighter, you could hear like when Derek Lewis fought in Houston, he cracked under the pressure.
It's a make or break moment for sure. And sometimes people have people in their hometown that like it's a distraction and they have to go back.
Yeah,
a lot of NFL players have that problem.
Like it's a hometown disadvantage in an MMA a lot of times, more so than a hometown advantage, which I felt the same way, honestly. Just to personalize it real quick, I know football, MMA, very different sports, but I actually always played better on the road. On my home games, I was worried about like making a play, like my aunt or some girl I think is cute, or my mom or whoever the fuck is in the stands. Like I'm trying to show out, and I'm too conscious of that. Like when I'm on the road, I'm like, all right, I'm out here in like Waxahachie, Texas. I'm only here to play football. Nobody's here. I don't know any, like, I just got to go out and just do my job, just play the sport of football. I always played better on the road. And I know not everybody feels that way. I was like home games, you're making after party plans. You're fucking, like I said, what's Shorty doing after this? What's, like it's a whole thing. I got to get tickets for people. Oh, my mom, is she here? Not here yet? I'm looking up in the stands. Like, I prefer. I don't say I preferred road games because like winning at home is so fun and all that. But like performance wise, I always perform better on the road. Just to personalize it.
So check this out. So in wrestling, Manus being from Kansas, my junior and senior, we went to Kansas for the tournament, right? So that has no bearing on my Oklahoma record or any of that. I mean, yeah, my overall record, sure, but it's not going to affect, like, losing to the number 2 guy there or, like, whoever. It doesn't matter, right? It's Kansas. No one in Oklahoma knows. So it's almost like that tournament I always love to go to because, 1, it's a fun experience as a team, but 2, there's just no pressure on me, so I would just get to go out and try shit that I wanted to try, that I felt like I could be successful doing. And there were a couple times in those tournaments where, like, I found highlights in my career and, like, figured out new moves getting to work them there. So sometimes I think that is like it takes the pressure off not being in a place or being in a place where it's not near as much of an effect on you. Like for Fugitt, he's in a spot here where it's not the pressure on him, There's no pressure on him. So he just gets to kind of show up. For Malott, he has to deal with all of that expectation.
For sure, man. And now we'll dive into these X's and O's a little bit. I mean, it was one-way traffic for the most part. Like Malott performed like we thought he would. He put some work in on Fugitt. He got 2 takedowns in the first round, but like both of them were like flashy, pimped ass takedowns.
Yeah.
Like they were sick. Like both of them. Like none of them was like a sloppy. They were like flashy.
The body lock
as
outside
a wrestler,
trip.
You probably understood what was going on, like from a technical perspective, but just me as a fan sitting here drinking a twisted tea. What? I was just like, fuck, that was sick. But
dude, he was also throwing some really nice combos of like body kick to a hook. You know what I'm saying? So left body kick, right hook.
We're testing Fugitt's will. And granted, Fugitt didn't fold. He didn't quit. Them first couple, they weren't right on the liver, but you could tell they were like in the general like region of the liver to where like the fucking like the vibrations, like it rippled out probably like
shockwave
hit the liver, shockwave hit the liver. And, like, you saw him kind of wince and kind of, like, he thought about kind of, like, those liver shots, they just kind of crumpled down like a roach got hit with raid. And, like,
Fugitt was tough,
he thought
honestly,
about it.
Because he ate a lot of good shots. And I know Malott hits hard. When you look at him, he's fucking huge for welterweight. Like, he's
properly jacked.
Properly. Proper Mike Malott is properly jacked. Properly jocked.
Yeah. Seriously, I mean, hell of a physique.
Yeah, and then you know what's even better for him, honestly, man, is that he ends up getting this fight to a finish, sits him down with that left-right combo, and then jumps on
in the second round.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. Obviously for 10-9 first round for Malott. Yeah. I think that's without a question, right?
Yeah, because Fugitt, He was able to get up to his feet after those takedowns, and he was able to kind of fight through the adversity. I mean, he landed a couple of shots, but
strong leg kicks too. Malott was eating some leg kicks, and like his left leg was shutting down a little bit at points. I did note that his left knee looked slightly compromised at points.
For sure, fair play for sure. And then second round, like you said, huge 1-2. Actually, I think it was a switch stance 1-2. I think DC pointed that on the telestrator, which is pretty sick. And it was really more, instead of a 1-2, it was almost like a right hook, left hook.
It was right hook, jab, left cross. Hook.
Yeah.
But the switch stance like almost right, like throws the shoulder in. It was really nice. Like pretty technical striking. Also, I think Fugitt does not have the best striking defense, so for him to be able to land that kind of jump stance double hook alternating hooks is, I mean, better fighters, that's not going to work. But I like it still. That being said, Fugitt got sat down, and then immediately Malott jumped on the guillotine, which was like the Team Alpha Male signature guillotine, the crossed over, locking everything down, hiding the hands. Got the tap.
Yeah, got the sub. Did he get a bonus for that one?
Yes, he did. Yeah, so hilariously, when Dana walked into the press conference, Malott was the one that had gone right before him, and he sat down and he looks at him and he's reading the bonuses, and he goes, "Hey, Malott, you still over there?" And he like turns around and goes, "What?" You hear him go, "What?" And he goes, "Hey, kid, you got a bonus. Congrats." And he goes,
"Hell yeah."
He goes, "What?" And he goes, "You got 50 grand." And he goes, "Yeah!" You just hear him start cheering in the back. I was like, hell yeah, that's a real moment.
Also, we forgot to mention Beneil Anders fight of the night, well deserved.
Which had to be. I actually had that in my notes. Yeah. If it wasn't fight of the night, I was going to see a fight of the year contender.
Yeah, we riot, like Justin Gagey said. But and then Mike Malott hopped. That finish comes a minute and 6 seconds into the second round too. So I mean, the round 2 was a knife through butter. I mean, it was dominance. Now Malott was great on the mic. Malott was on the mic what Michael Chandler wishes he was on the mic.
Yes,
what Michael Chandler cringily tries to do.
A not corny hero of the people.
Yeah, like it was authentic too. It was like patriotic. It was authentic. It was passionate. He got a huge pop. That was his moment. Like he got over. Which this spot was set up to get Mike Malott over. It worked.
It worked flawlessly.
I think a lot of the people that were wondering, like, oh, why is this guy on the main card, like, got their answer. Wait.
Like, I'm sold on him getting a matchup for the top 15.
Yeah, who's at 15 right now? No, because we all know star power matters. We all know what you say on the mic matters. We all know getting finishes and bonuses matter. It's not all extracurricular.
Here's something that's scary. Michelle Pajeda is 15. Mata Della Lena is 14 and Gary is 13.
Yeah, man. I mean, first off, any of those fights are absolute heaters. Madalena's booked. Is Madalena fighting Pereira? Madalena's booked against somebody. No, or is it, no, he's fighting Sean Brady. Is it Sean Brady?
Is that right? It does not say right here.
He's not on Tapology yet?
Let me search that.
I want to say it's Sean Brady.
That would be a big step up for him.
It would.
Apology.
Oh, here, I'm on it.
Okay, I got it. Oh, yeah. You're right. Sean Brady.
So that's a heater matchup. That's so fun. That's next.
That's Volkanovski Rodriguez.
Yeah.
That's July 8th.
No, that card's sick, dude. That card's sick.
That's the day I get back from Mexico. I'll be in Houston that night.
See, it's also kind of fugazi because I think like Magny and Chiesa and Luque, you could argue. I mean, I like Gary and Madalena against all those guys personally. So it's kind of like a weird kind of fugazi rankings if you ask me. Because I think that like Neil Magny and Chiesa are closer to being like the 14th best fighter in the division than Gary or Madalena personally.
I
just my opinion. So that being said, I mean, either way, Malott is like, I think Jack Della and Madalena to me are the same guy. Like they're like the same like level of guy.
I think what we have right now in welterweight is what we had in lightweight 3 years ago. We're seeing the turnover start. And in a year, a lot of those top names like Covington, Usman, the older guys are going to Stephen Thompson for sure, Jeff Neal probably, Luque.
Just like when we were watching like Sarukian and Gamrot and those guys like enter the rankings and like, yeah, no, I 1,000% agree. We're definitely witnessing that with the Garys of the world and the Jack Della Molenas of the world and
Sean
the Mike
Brady,
Proper, Mike Miles.
Rachmanov, Mike Malott.
Yeah.
Welterweight's thick with young talent.
Whew, I love it. I love it. Like, I love that JDM and Sean Brady are fighting each other. Like, it's not one of those fights where you hear that kind of casual take, like, oh, let's save this one for down the line. Like, fuck that.
They're like, we're down the line. We're here. Like, he's top 10 and I'm not. I want it.
For sure, bro. But, man, keep it pushing to the people's main event, respectfully. But
yes, sir.
Some things are just true.
Hey, people's main event, Charles do Bronx, the hero of Brazil, Oliveira, plus 125 as the number one ranked, I mean, obviously behind Islam, number one ranked challenger in lightweight, fighting number 4, Beneil Dariush at minus 145. I thought Benny was getting a lot of love. Now, I think stylistically it made a lot of sense.
It swelled in like the 2 days, like the what is it, the 36 hours leading up to the fight. It swelled. It was a minus 110 coin toss for like weeks leading up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so it makes you think the public just kind of took Dariush, which is odd because the biggest pop of the whole night was probably Oliveira. So it's like you'd think the crowd would have been taking him a lot more.
I was kind of pounding the desk for Benny all week.
I ended up taking a ticket by Benny on a finish.
Yeah, I thought Benny had the power advantage, which you could argue he might still. He just wasn't really getting his power shots off. We'll get to it. But I thought Benny had the power advantage. And I know that Charles gets his chin destroyed every time he steps in the cage.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like that was just kind of like my breakdown, my lead up, my like logic of as a better how I was seeing it. Like the reason I was kind of honestly, I was pretty bullish on Dariush.
Like Charles always gets wobbled. Like wobbled Charles is mythical though because he almost always recovers. It's like a super weird thing. Like he gets more dangerous the more wobbled he gets. But once you get him to a certain point, it's over. Right? Like Makhachev wobbled him and then jumped on him instantly. Like didn't let him recover at all. So there's like points to it, right? And Dariush should seemingly do the same thing, but also has like nuclear power. So if he connects, like it's gonna really hurt Charles. Now that being said, Charles also clearly has incredibly hard punching. Because he wobbles everyone.
He does. And Gaethje, all the wars Gaethje's been in, he talks about it really any chance he can, honestly. He loves kind of shouting it out. Like, he says the hardest he's ever been hit was Charles Oliveira. He said it felt like there was a car battery hooked to his tongue. Like, that's literally the verbiage he used to describe getting hit by Charles Oliveira. Like, like
it jolted his body?
Yeah, like he short-circuited him. Like Gaethje, out of all the wars he's been in, he said that Charles Oliveira, when he got dropped, was like the worst one. Yeah, it's weird because Charles Oliveira, it's so weird, bro, because like, he cuts a ton of weight. He's obviously a big athletic guy. He just doesn't look that strong. It's like a weird muscle composition.
No, he strikes
so looks kind of skinny.
He strikes so fluidly, too. Like, he just really, like, throws, like, complete strikes, right? Like, he's not throwing to connect. Like, he's throwing, like, to go through. So I think he's just throwing really fluid, and like that's also what allows him to get checked so hard, is that he's finishing his shots every time, like really trying to put finishing power on them. So he's leaving himself open in those transitioning seconds. However, when he connects those, he's literally striking through people.
No, for sure. And then like we'll dive into it here. Like Benny, what was it? The first 2.5 minutes of the round,
he was winning.
A ton of success.
Was in the position I thought he would be in.
Scared to go into Oliveira's guard. He was maintaining that top control, getting, I would say, like above average ground and pound off. Like, now, granted, we all know Joe Bronx from the bottom, even from like a striking defense. Like, how many people can you say have good striking defense from their back? That's a short list.
Or striking offense from their back. He was throwing up nasty bows too. I was like, Jesus Christ, this might be like even on the ground almost.
1,000%. No. I liked Benny's work on the ground.
Me too. But definitely advantaged Benny.
Simultaneously was impressed with what Oliveira was doing from his back. Both can be true, for sure. But yeah, Benny was having a great round, man. And then, Oliveira See, that's the thing about it. You could call it top control, or you could say like Charles Oliveira was
Well,
sitting in guard
Charles pulled guard essentially, and then when he wanted to get up, got up.
Yeah, he got up. Yes,
like exactly. Stood up. And like put a hand on his neck and like stood up and was like, okay, let's go strike again.
Like I remember thinking like as I was watching this like Benny Dariush like top control kind of segment of the round, I was thinking to myself like, fuck, Charles decided to go here. Charles is having some success, but like I got to give this to Benny, right? Like he's on top punching him. Like that's how this works, right? But I remember thinking to myself like, and then especially when Oliveira just kind of pulled the old Derek Lewis, I'm going to stand up now.
Literally just like got up and like put a hand on his neck and just like stood up. I was like, oh, well, I guess this is wherever Charles wants it to take place.
Was Benny winning?
Yeah, like
he was.
Yeah, literally, like, was he being controlled, or was Charles like seeing what he could get right there?
1,000% saw it the same way. Like, I almost by technicality went with Benny in that opening little part of the round.
For sure, I did.
I was like, man,
but after you saw him stand up, it like made you like second guess it. Like, wait, who's in control here?
1,000% agree. And then Oliveira starts marching him down, classic. Shoot the box style. Just starts like, all right, I'm going this way now.
Yeah, just straightforward, down the middle, out the side, out the other side, back down the middle, throwing kicks. I mean, mixing it up. Got him pressed to the fence. The way he just unloading.
So if Israel Adesanya is a sniper, Oliveira is like an MG42 gunner.
He's a machine
gunner.
It's
like suppressive fire. You know what I mean? Like he just. Like I don't think, especially with how blind he is, you could like I don't even know he's like aiming. Like it's just suppressive fire. It's like military doctrine, like how military doctrine, like one guy lays down the suppressing fire while his buddies advance, and then they lay down suppressing fire while they advance, but like Oliveira's doing both the suppressing and the advancing. Like it's like it really is like war fighting. Like I don't know. That's like I've been watching a lot of war content lately, and like that's what it reminds me of, like the suppressing while advancing, but he's doing both. Like Benny couldn't really fire back. There was so much coming at him.
Shoot the box is supposed to be like that pit boxing style adapted striking where it's just like in your face, continuous aggressive movement and striking. So it makes sense that is what Charles is good at. And yeah, Benny got so overwhelmed he kind of turned to the side at one point and then ate a huge hook. And from that point, it was pretty much all she wrote.
Like a double right hook, which once again, speaking to Oliveira's power, which I believe Gagey, it's just weird. It's not what you think of when you think of power.
Did you see the look on Dariush's face when he got connected on clean? The first time he like looked up and it was like the look of like surprise, like holy shit.
Like those final two rights that like dropped him and essentially finished him, like in my opinion, they weren't the cleanest shots. Like one was kind of like the top side of the head and the other one caught some glove. Didn't matter. Like, it was not on the button.
The one that caught glove is the one that like had Dariush's face.
Got him down.
His face like literally like was like what the fuck on the ground.
Credit to Dariush. He kind of pulled the like Colby Covington, like I got dropped, but I'm also shooting a single leg, like to kind of save face, like, which I guess that's better than just sitting on your ass. I feel you, but I mean, you're in on a single leg on Charlie Do Bronx. Good luck with that. And he was able to he
got pieced
dropped
out and finished.
He grabbed a single. And
Do Bronx defended, hit him twice, rolled him over, and just pieced him up a few more times.
I mean, Benny pretty much like went limp. Like,
like his legs, you could see his legs kicking, like going limp.
And Benny never really quits. And I mean, you could argue that was quit, knockout, whatever, but he covered up and he was done.
Tell you,
he was done. Like
that last hook that dropped him, like whenever he landed and caught himself on his arm right before he shot in for that single, like the look on his face was different. Like he was like so rocked.
Now let's get to this DC post-fight interview with Charles Do Bronx. Really flexed that stock
English,
power, which has been the only knock on it ever.
He can sell all day now.
English sounded good, man. I mean, like, relatively speaking, but English working on it, for sure working on it, getting over with the crowd. And then he asked the crowd, especially it's awesome because DC's sitting there. We all know DC's a Makhachev mark. And
God damn,
and so he's sitting there talking to Makhachev's boy. and he asked and he's like, oh, the rightful champ, Makhachev, whatever. And he was like, essentially, he was speaking Brazilian, but he was like, let me stop you there. And he asked the crowd, like, who's the champ? And the whole crowd's like, Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
It was sick. Now, using any type of logic or trying to make sense here, it doesn't make sense. He got absolutely destroyed from Makhachev. But it's like to get the 15,000 people or whatever to all like scream on camera, like the champ's right here. His name's Oliveira.
Yeah, the champion has a name.
Fucking
Charles Dubronx
sweet.
Oliveira.
Pretty fucking sweet moment on the mic. Like one of my favorite like on the mic moments, to be honest. Like that was fucking sick.
His star power is up there for sure. And he knows it and he uses it well. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, I mean, easy guy to root for, right? Easy guy to root
also,
for.
Makhachev tweeted him immediately after, said, congrats, Charles, but there's levels to this game. And then, put the emoji with sunglasses. Charles tweeted him back, actually, afterward. And he said, thank you. There are levels to this game. See you soon.
Yeah, bro. And it's one of those things where Charles Oliveira has said this whole time, like he was just not himself that night of the Makhachev fight. That usually sounds like a cop-out. I usually hate when fighters say that, but, that is the outlier. Right. That is pretty much his only shitty performance in, years. I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I'm going back and forth with this, rematch. Because Islam's calling for Leon, which in a vacuum is an epic fight, but from, a division thing doesn't make a lot of sense. You just fought a 45er. Fight somebody in your division.
Shit, if Usman couldn't take down Leon, I don't think Makhachev can.
That's an interesting take. So, I mean, like I said, in a vacuum, it's a matter of, in a vacuum, one night only, I'd rather watch Islam Leon. However, in the full context of, divisions and, competitive architecture, it kind of makes, he kind of needs to fight a 55er. And I don't know, everybody's kind of all right, we have to see Charles Oliveira fight now. But it kind of reminds me of the Nunes-Pena trilogy where we just saw Pena get destroyed.
Right.
Would it be like that again? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about wanting to see a Makhachev Oliveira rematch. So I guess because I don't really have a take here, I'll turn the floor over to you. What's your thoughts on that? Is that what you want to see? Would you want to see Islam fight Leon?
I think Islam. Why does Islam deserve the shot at Leon is kind of my question, right? I think he needs to beat a few more.
He beat the number one pound-for-pound guy. That would be my argument if I was in his camp.
Yeah, but he's the bigger guy, and he's still not number one on the list. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a weird. That one's a weird one because for Leon, it's almost more rewarding, right? I guess he puts his title.
He's going to sell way more pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and like I said, if Usman, who I think is as big as Makhachev, if not bigger, outside of fighting, right? Walking around, because Usman cut a lot of weight too, right? So does Makhachev.
Usman was going to go up to 205.
Yeah, right.
Around 215.
Right. So I'm saying Leon has fought guys that are Usman, world level wrestler, did not get a takedown on Leon in that second fight.
Is it a hot take? After the Oliveira fight, I might say that Islam's striking is way better than Usman's, though, which I never thought I would say, but I think that's probably true. The kicks and the head kicks and the.
I just don't know. That might be true, but also against someone like Leon Edwards, it's still not even close to Rocky striking. So it's it doesn't matter.
Sounds like that's the fight to me, even though it doesn't make sense, and I kind of hate it because we always complain that the lightweight division's stagnant at the top, and this doesn't help that. But fuck, Leon Islam is pretty sick. But then what the fuck do you do with Charles? You know what I think ends up happening maybe? Because I don't think Conor. I just really don't. There's no indication.
You think Chandler and Charles are in it back?
Maybe.
God,
but maybe
it's
not
just, it's just
maybe not like a planned thing, but maybe the UFC has to scramble whenever Conor, whenever we all acknowledge the fact that Conor's not fighting again. However long we let this pony show go on until the end of the tough season, and then we got to come to reality that this isn't going to happen. But that they've already spent all the marketing monies marketing Chandler. That fight was really fun to watch. Saying like every fan would pretty much be down to like watch that again and to pay $80 to watch that again. I don't think anybody's really complaining that this fight's gonna suck or be boring.
I don't know that Oliveira's taken anything but Makhachev, honestly. And also Dana.
And he has a lot of fucking money too. So like he only really needs to fight like big fights.
Dana said Tuesday is when they'll make announcements about it, but he's essentially said that the fight that makes sense to him is Makhachev Oliveira again.
Which I'm cool with. I'm totally cool with. The Makhachev Leon, like I said, that's awesome, but that is a little like weird.
I just think he needs to win one more time to earn that. You know what I mean?
I think that's fair. I think that's fair for sure. And there's a million like welterweight contenders as well.
Right, and welterweight's so thick with contenders. Like, why does Islam just get to jump all those guys that have put so much work in that division?
Yeah, I truly think there's an argument for both sides. We'll keep it pushing to the main event here. We got Amanda Nunes, the Lioness, the GOAT, champion, minus 330 favorite against Irene Aldana, plus 275, who's the 5th ranked bantamweight. Essentially, we're in a situation here where, I mean, much like Grasso was with Shevchenko, they went all the way down to 5 because they needed a fresh body. They needed a matchup. They needed somebody who wasn't.
I mean, it was supposed to be a Pena 3, and they just Pena pull out Merchant Pena. Fucking, so they had to give her a fresh matchup, and Aldana kind of made sense. She looked really good in her last fight before that. So
I disagree, bro. I rewatched that Chase on fight, which is why I was hammering Nunes even at minus 330. I thought it was a parlay.
Was that the up kick to the liver that won the fight?
The up kick to the liver that was honestly pretty fluky, and everybody acted like, "Oh, what a creative!" People treated it like it was fucking like, not even treated it. They spun it as if it was like Joaquin Buckley's knockout. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was pretty fluky, bro. They're like, "Oh, we've never seen that before."
You think it was it was pretty fugazi?
I mean, the knockout was legit, but just to act like that was some kind of display of skill, I didn't know about it. And I was watching that fight, like, she was eating shots from Chason. She was losing positions to Chason. Now, you can argue she was winning the fight, and she definitely beat Chason, but I don't respect Chason. As like a top 5, like even being in the same ballpark as Amanda Nunes, I don't respect Chason. And Chason was winning positions, winning exchanges, and I was like, okay, this is like the things I was seeing her try to get away with against Chason. I was like, Lioness, that's a starching. Like you can't get away, you can't bring. Like that's the performance that got her the title shot, and that's usually what you want to replicate if you're a contender, right? I just got to go out there and do the same thing I've been doing. But I was like, if she goes out there, even best case scenario, and does this against the Lioness, hell no.
Yeah, so the way I saw it too was, Vegas kind of came back to earth on Amanda Nunes' odds because they were just making him so wild on her streak before Pena beat her. Then she dominates Pena in, just savage mode. I don't remember what the odds were for their fight. Now, in this particular one, Amanda Nunes minus 330 is a fucking steal to me. Because I thought...
In a parlay, 3 legs are big.
Yeah, oh yeah. Now, as far as like by decision, I don't know. I thought we'd get a lot more vintage performance. Now, when it all comes down to it, I think she took her time and literally wanted to fight the 25 minutes.
See,
yes,
I guess
no.
I'm going to say
I think maybe in the 4th and 5th she was hunting a finish at those points, but not risking anything. But I think 1, 2, and 3, she wasn't putting everything into every second to finish the fight.
I agree with those takes, and I also have some takes of my own. Aldana for the first 3 rounds gave her absolutely nothing.
Yes.
There was nothing to counter. There was nothing to
in a 5-foot distance. Aldana stayed so far away.
Nothing to time. You can't time someone on their entry if they're not entering. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I honestly give all the credit because I know Pena was trying, this was snoozy, whatever. I give all the credit to Nunes in the world for this one reason. This could have very, very easily ended up being Rosa Esparza.
This could have been Adesanya Romero. That kind of a thing where they both are just looking at each other like, are you going to throw? Are you going to throw? Because Aldana was never going to throw.
I actually and I'm not even trying to sound like a nut writer here. Like, I actually give Nunes all the credit in the world for making this not snoozing. Now, was it a barn burner war? No, but like, could have been so much worse if Nunes wasn't the actual GOAT and like made something happen. So I mean
here's what I would say is, aside from one counter right that Aldana landed in the first round, Nunes dominated every other minute, every other instance of this fight.
Every other position, every other exchange.
And like, it wasn't even close. I scored at 50-43. Did you have 2 10-8s or just one? Or none?
I had two. Real quick. So yeah, Aldana's best moment comes early, like first 30 seconds of the first round. Wobbles her with the right hook. Like, Nunes was legitimately hurt.
Yeah.
Crazy. And typically when that happens, you see like a swell of confidence, a belief of like oh shit, I can hurt this Terminator.
Or the opportunity to return to that instance or position to try to bait them back into that same thing. Like, Aldana didn't even
go back to the well.
Right.
Can I make this work again? Just didn't. I don't know if like, did Aldana in her brain, she's like, oh, I got lucky with that one, or I got away with that one, or I can tell my grandkids I landed a clean shot on Amanda Nunes, and like, that's good enough for me.
I think she was afraid of the power coming back at her. Honestly, I mean, it seemed like, right? Like, she didn't want to eat those shots, but she was going to eat them anyway. And that's what her coach was like pleading with her in between every round.
Yeah.
Her coach was telling her, you're going to eat the shots anyway, so just, you got to walk through the fire and throw your own stuff. It doesn't matter because you're getting outstruck anyway, so eat the fire and throw.
It's like in football terms, right? Say if you're playing cover 4 and you're getting beat on deep passes, you might as well go fucking 7-8 man blitz if you're getting beat over the top and shell cover 4.
Yeah.
You might as well try to get to the quarterback.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like in football terminology, like it's, you might as well, right? You might as well.
If you're already going to lose at what you're trying to prevent, you might as well do anything.
Try a more aggressive strategy, for sure. Now, yeah, I mean, with the exception of that punch, so round 1, there's the slight moment for Aldana, it's 10-9. For sure, significant strike numbers. Nothing too. There wasn't any big moment really besides Aldana's moment. But in Aldana, literally, I think in the first round, I think she had 3 significant strikes, and one of them was the big one. So when we say did nothing after that moment, we're not using hyperbole here. There was literally nothing else to score for Aldana. So even though she had the biggest moment of the round, you still had to give the round to Nunes. You had to.
100%. I mean, at one point, Aldana had landed, Nunes had landed 104 significant strikes, and Aldana had thrown 103.
Oh, man, what a stat. Round 2, Nunes kind of playing it safe, a lot of calf kicks, a lot of body kicks, but they were big calf kicks and big body kicks, they were damaging, but just kind of safer techniques, not the riskiest. But then this is whenever I think, and it's so appropriate, she's called the Lioness, because rounds 2 and 3, she was playing with her food.
Yes, just playing with her food. I was just about to say, she's credited 6 of 13 on takedowns. She's really 8 of 13. She just chose not to follow 2 of them whatsoever.
She was dumping her at will, literally just grabbing a leg and just throwing her down like you would your little brother.
And then smiling at her and telling her get up. It was
because it was almost like this head game because she knew Aldana didn't want to stand with her and wasn't having a good time on the feet. She let her know, hey, I can take you down whenever I want. But then she would almost welcome her back to the feet and be like, I'm going to make you have to choose to go to what you don't want to be.
Right.
Just to, fuck with you.
It was almost, it was almost a head game of oh, you're a striker? Well, then stand up. Strike with me. See, I can take you down whenever I want, but I want to see what you can do. You're a striker. Strike with me.
Bro, that's how I saw it, too. So, rounds 2 and 3, 10-9. Because they were dominant, but not that damaging. You know what I mean? There wasn't any knockdowns or cuts.
I had it 30-27 through 3. I agree.
That end of the round blitz by Nunes in round 3, it's really when she kind of flipped the switch though. All right, I think I'm going to try to get a finish here, which was dope. Because the end of round 3 and rounds 4 and 5 were much more entertaining and exciting because she was kind of going for the kill, going for blood.
Definitely being
in the water.
Safer in rounds 4 and 5 as far as what she was willing to eat, but was also throwing more fight-ending stuff at the same time. I know that sounds like a weird juxtaposition.
Well, it sounds like some shit that a goat could pull off. You know
right.
Yeah, best of both worlds. Seriously. And then also in round 3, she got 3 takedowns in that round and broke the record for most takedowns in bantamweight history, which just proves how awesome she is. Because I mean, known like as like the female Ngannou, right? Like imagine if Ngannou had like broke a Cain Velasquez takedown record or something.
Right.
Like that's kind of like what we're looking at here, like the bantamweight women's version, like stat wise. She's known as a power puncher, has the takedown record. God damn. Hats off. I can actually do that literally now. And so, but round 4, you asked me earlier how many 10-8s I gave. Rounds 4 and 5, I gave 10-8. I thought 5 was worse than 4, naturally.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. I thought Aldana was beat the fuck up in round 5.
They were weird 10-8s, though, because there was some 10-8s you'll give them because like a singular big moment or a big cut gets opened up or a really bad knockdown or a sub gets really close or there's top control the whole 4 minutes of the round. But this was weird. Like I literally have pretty generic notes on these because it literally was just damage, dominance, and duration.
Yeah, like literally just like being
traffic.
Way better and doing whatever it was almost like she just had so much control over whatever happened and was getting the damage.
Zero fear or risk
that I was
of anything coming back at her.
It was just so like visually dominant and obviously, I mean, realistically dominant as well, right? But like, yeah, the visual of Nunes doing whatever she wanted, and then the visual of Aldana getting more and more and more beat up, and the elbows that Nunes started to land, and the knees. Like, she was throwing more vicious strikes in the 4th and 5th.
Football metaphor McGee today, but it's like one of those Tom Brady games when he would have like 500 yards passing, but like no highlights. You know, he had like 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, but they're all slants and ins and outs and curls, and there's no home runs. There's no Sports Center top 10, but you look up and Brady has 5 TDs and 500 yards passing, and it was just like death by 1,000 cuts. You know what I mean? Just steady as she goes, just like.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like torture. It felt torturously planned by Nunes too. Like she wanted to enjoy the 25 minutes almost if she was going to go that way.
I think she made that decision. I think the first 3 rounds, that was maybe her mentality. But I think at the end of round 3, when she started to kind of open up and pour it on a little bit, I've been very kind to Nunes. I think she wanted to get her out of there and either couldn't or didn't.
Yeah, credit to Aldana's chin. She was standing strong.
Aldana's chin's nuts. Took a lot of damage. Offense at all, dude. At all.
Yeah, I mean, she might have just been starstruck in the moment. When you really look at it, like, she didn't look good walking out. And I texted that to Michael, because we wouldn't spoil anything, so we were texting back and forth. But, like, yeah, I said I didn't like the look in her eyes. And then Anik said something about it, too, which was weird to me, where Aldana just, like, she looked kind of shook. Like, she looked kind of almost... The moment was too big for her.
Your main event, I mean, there's a lot on that for sure. She's really tall. Who knows how the weight cut went? Now let me see here. Aldana has Vieira, Holm, and Pennington above her. Pretty sure Pennington and Pena are going to fight for the vacant belt. We'll get to it. Nunes retires. So 2 judges give 50-44. 1 judge gives 50-43. We both gave 50-43, right?
Yes, sir, yeah.
I think all those scorecards make sense, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I said it honestly in my, like, I was just talking to myself out loud, but I was like, man, you could argue like 50-41 with the exception of the first round because, like, Aldana just didn't do a goddamn thing. Like, if I start you with 9, you kind of got to earn staying at 9. Like, Aldana just wasn't doing a goddamn thing. Now, like I said, I scored at 50-43. But, like, the dominance felt like a 50-41, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't ever feel like Nunes wasn't in full control of any minute. Except for that counter right.
Yeah, for sure. Damn it. I was going to look up. Has Aldana fought anyone else in the top 5? Sorry, my internet's like being weird. I think my phone's fine. I just switched to my phone internet, but like my laptop internet's fucking up.
So she's fought Ketlin Vieira. She's fought Holly Holm. She's fought Yana Kunitskaya and Macy Chiasson in her last 5 since 2019.
So who does that leave? Does that leave anybody in the top 5? I mean, Pena obviously. So does she have to fight back? Does she have to fight like?
Probably Penny Kianzad. Well, no,
Penny Kianzad.
No, because Kianzad's booked to fight. Like Vieira or someone, right?
I don't know.
I mean, this might be a case where Aldana has to fight all the way back to like Carol Hossa or Misha Tate just for the name value.
I was about to say the name value of Tate. I could see them trying to do a Fugays Fight Night main event and sell a couple tickets. God damn, dude. Women's bantamweight sucks, bro. I'm sorry. Like, I just looked at 15 names and I don't give a fuck who she fights next day, especially after that performance. If we're like, I'd rather, I'm not, this is not hyperbole. I would literally rather them sign some fucking Russian or Brazilian savage and give her like an unranked, like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't give a fuck who she fights next, but because her performance was awful to watch. She's fought a lot of the top girls already. Is going to fight Raquel for the belt. Like, that's going to happen. So, what are we even doing here? We can do some rematch that nobody gives a shit about. We can make her fight. I guess Misha Tate's the best option because at least, like, you would somewhat give a shit because it's two names you've heard of.
Right.
But, like, two former title challengers, you know what I'm saying? Like, but outside of that, bro, like, that division's in shambles.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I don't have too much time here, but just kind of like, I don't even know if we can really do like a next week preview or whatever, but just one kind of final question for you. Does the women's featherweight division finally end now?
It's gone.
Is this
so
dog and pony show over?
I love that you asked me this question. I'm glad that we're going to end on this. So, the Schmo was on the Calabasas Fight Companion. I listened to a little bit of it today, right? And he was pretty much saying that from what he and the media think, and like Dana thinks, they're going to do away with the featherweight division because the only reason they kept it around was for her because they can't just take a belt away from her for nothing. But now that she's relinquishing it, they're probably not going to have anyone fight for it, and they're just going to slowly cut that division out.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen too. I saw a lot of people, not a lot, I saw a couple tweets from some like MMA accounts on Twitter talking about how like bring in the atom weights, which I'm here for.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay with that. Yeah, we got a fun little fight night next week. Just Vittori Cannonier, -110 each way. So
I don't know. I guess I like Cannonier. I don't know. I feel just like that money line. I feel just like Vegas. You feeling Vittori?
Yeah, weirdly enough.
Okay. I mean, I don't feel that strongly. So if you're, I'll ride with you because I kind of just like pulled that out of my ass. Like
I need to look into that one a lot more, but I know you don't have a lot of time. The only other thing I was going to say is Arman Sarukian fighting Joaquim Silva. Sarukian -1,000. So that's
that main card sucks. Is there anything on the prelims that we should give a shit about at all? Any fighters we like, even if it's not big names?
Jimmy Flick.
That main card looks rough. Okay, Oklahoma boy, Jimmy Flick.
Let me see who else. Zach Pauga fights Modestas Bukauskas.
Qualify as anything I give a shit about. I'm sorry.
Miles Johns.
Be negative. All righty. Well, we'll see you next week to break down this absolute barn burner.
Yeah, the only other names that are even good are Dalby Salikov and Sabatini Lucas Almeida. Oh, and then Armand Petrosian, Christian Leroy Duncan.
Yeah, I could see the Salikov fight being like a good stylistic matchup. That'll be like a striker's battle. You know what I mean? Like that'll be cool. But all right, bro. Fun episode. We'll do the prelims. I'm guessing probably tomorrow. Or yeah.
Catch we'll do prelims tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. All right, cool. Yeah, check out some prelims. Tune in tomorrow night. We'll be live from this channel. Subscribe and turn on the bell so you know when we're going live. And appreciate you. Give this video a thumbs up. Appreciate your time, bro. Another fun week of fights.